Walmart Center here. Larger.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start in about 30 seconds. Please put your phones on silent or turn them off, please. Thank you. It's on. Silent.
You should do that.
It's back in.
Don't forget to mention about your town hall Thursday.
How many more?
It's on there.
No, I gotta do that.
More rooms would be?
Four, actually four in the, room for the Washington Drive.
Now, you have not put in the refrigerator in the rooms yet?
We're doing that this week. Yeah.
Should be in the
Oh,
new stuff,
okay.
I just.
Okay, great.
It's a little more expensive than I thought.
Okay, welcome. It's now 9 o'clock. Call the Fort Clark Springs Association Board meeting on June 19th to order. All right, we have the quorum of board members. All 5 board members are present. Please stand for a moment of silence. All right, now the pledges. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Everyone received the minutes from the meeting on May 15th. Has everyone had an opportunity to read those?
Yes.
Do you have a motion to approve the minutes from the general board meeting on May 15th?
So moved.
Second. Okay, do you have a vote? So, all in favor of approving the minutes? Yeah. So the sheriff was going to join us today to talk a little bit about what's been going on throughout June for the Speed Awareness Month, but I'll let Linda give an update since she's been kind of heading that effort.
The group that's working on the speed, it's June, we made June Speed Awareness Month in an attempt to create one of the big issues from the last town hall. That has been spearheaded by a woman who stepped up and has donated $100 of her own money to make the signs. That would be Layla Robbins. So I sort of like have awarded you Member of the Month. Anyway, we want to thank you for all your efforts. Sharon Gregor and I have been helping her. I do see, in my personal opinion, a change. People who care are thinking about what they're doing when they're driving their cars. They're slowing down. We still have a few people who seem to find difficulty with following the speed limit. We did get a license plate last night and was passed on to Matt. 50 in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. So anyway, with that said, I want to thank all of you for trying. Keep trying. We do have a slight issue on scales where they continually every night tear the signs down. So we're going to put them back up, and we will be out there every day putting them back up until the end of June. So if you see anything along those lines, we'd appreciate a little information. So, other than that, I think it's been successful. We will do this every year in the future. We will do it again in June because it's important that we make sure that we're all safe and driving responsibly. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the sheriff. The board reached out to the sheriff's department and they agreed to come and help us patrol a little bit more now that we've reached out to them. So we'll continue that effort throughout the year, but they did, after contact from one of the board members, made a little bit bigger effort this month. So thank them if you see them as well. We'll move on to the secretary's report.
We had one piece of correspondence that came in from the St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. It says, to the membership and staff of Fort Clark Springs, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church gratefully acknowledges your thoughtful contribution for the Memorial Fund in Mary Frances Pardlow's name. Her family has also been notified of your kindness in him, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. And that's all for the Secretary's report.
We'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report for May 2021. Motel revenue, $17,338. Member service report for lot sales, transfers, resales, etc., $2,625. The collection board report for the month of May, $27,190. Delinquent notice percentage of payment received, 58%. FRM delinquent notice percentage received, 71%. I think people are getting the message. The restricted fund breakdown is $388,135.33. The letter of credit guarantee is $152,000. Preservation is owed $11,736.43, which makes available money of $224,398.90. The net income before bad debt and depreciation, the net income loss was $40,407.08. Of that, depreciation was $11,876.12, and bad debt expense of $22,312.20, which means the net income loss was actually $6,218.76 for the month of April. That should have been May, excuse me. Profit and loss for May. Total income, $164,741.51. Total expenses were $205,148.59 for a net income loss of $40,407.08, which includes bad debt and depreciation expenses. Profit and loss October through May. Gross profit was $1,520,140.02. The expenses was $1,727,156.08 for a net loss of $207,016.06. Los Morris profit and loss for May. Profit, $1,500.20. Expenses, $2,129.25 for a net loss of $629.05. Some of that, I guess, was startup for the bar and Dickman Hall. The profit and loss for Los Morris October through May. Gross profit, $9,103.70. Total expenses, $9,448.09 for a loss of $344.39. The restricted fund for May, $5,709.20 income. Expenses, $1,960.95 for a profit of $3,118.25. Again, restricted fund October through May, the profit, the gross profit was $41,286. Total expenses, $17,610.42 for a net income of $23,675.58. Bank balances. Texas Community Bank, as of 6/17, checking $54,760.45, credit card $119,792.60, money market $9,294. Bank and Trust, Los Morris, $7,141.70. Restricted, $385,523.06. General, $195,213.53. And historical, $474.90. For a grand total between the two, $772,200.25. And that concludes your treasurer's report.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? Is historical preservation, Bill, the number on this for historical, is that actually the preservation group?
I think, I'm not sure which account that is, because there are two, there used to be two, I don't know if there still are two.
Yeah, there's a checking account.
Right,
And then the
and
bulk
the
of
checking
it.
account, I'm thinking that's the checking account.
Okay, so maybe in the future, if we could refer to it as preservation?
I'll have to talk to Cindy,
Okay,
because she wrote it up.
thank you.
I have a question. The credit card statement, is that the bill, or is that what you have in the account?
No, sir, that's the amount that's collected by the credit card, in the credit card machine funds. So it's not, those are not charges, those are funds collected by credit card.
Okay.
Yeah. Very confusing as the label, yeah.
And what are you gonna do about the profit and losses? Sound like you got a $200,000 shortfall? How are you gonna mediate that situation?
So as far, I mean, that's a much deeper conversation than after the treasurer's report, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that during the town hall or.
But the reason why I'm asking, you can't go on a shortfall. It's like you gotta balance your budget. If you can't balance your household budget, like you guys, what are we gonna do?
Oh, totally understand, and much of that, if you look at the October through May, you have $95,000 of depreciation and over $180,000 of bad debt, so cash on cash, you're ahead.
I was very confused 3 years ago too, when I first saw it, and I'm like, we're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Actually, it's not, because like Travis said, the depreciation and the bad debt, that is subtracted out, and it looks like it's an expense that money is going out, but it's not. The money is still there. It's just taken out for accounting reasons, so that $280,000 or whatever it is, it hasn't disappeared or gone anywhere. It's still there in the bank. So even though it shows a loss, it's more for tax purposes than it is for actual loss of revenue. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, so October 20 through May 21, you have a net income loss of $207,000. If you look at account 430925 bad debt expense, that's $181,000. You split back to page 2,
What
and
is your actual amount? What is your actual amount? How much do you have on the books?
so in our accounts as we sit, we have $772,200.24.
Is there a financial?
That's cash on hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are able to meet your financial obligations then?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just
Julie, the
wanted to-
financials?
We're solid, but before I got on the board and got into it, I was out there too going, this is crazy. We're losing money right and left every, year. How could we do that? But I didn't understand the depreciation and bad debt wasn't actually an expenditure where you write out a check for it, so.
Yeah, you have almost $300,000 of non-cash expenses in your expense category.
Mr. Attorney, the paperwork for the financials are behind you on that table if you want to examine them further. You got them, okay?
And it is misleading, and it's a bad thing that it's misleading because then you have people that want to discredit the association or a particular board say, look at all the money that we've lost. And that was the problem over the last 3 to 5 years that I've seen is one group of people will say they're screwing things up, there's embezzlement going on, and it's not when you get into the facts.
So there's a couple things that we're doing to mitigate that as well. So 2 meetings ago, we went ahead and made the decision to add software that will allow us to have a little bit more revenue control, understand where those dollars are coming in. Also an HOA system that will allow us to track more frivolously the amounts that are being collected. And there's an important piece at the very beginning that's not a published document, but it is referenced. And our collections this last month were over $24,000 of dues that were not paid. And we also, the last meeting, signed into our rules and regulations a process to collect those bad debts. So we're moving forward to make that a situation where we don't even show a negative net income loss.
Oh, thank you.
Executive rule?
My turn to explain where our money went? Historically, June, July, and August have been relatively our slowest month as far as hotel. The only reason last year wasn't because of all the pipeline work that was going on. Of course, we're not having that this year. Our rooms are not finished remodeling. So probably for the next month, we're still going to have the kind of report that we have this month. Because we will not be able to bring in the revenue in the RV park or the motel and the golf course that will get us to the point that we are actually showing the profit. That will start up in September, running all the way through October, and then get stronger after that. But the things that we have been working on in the last month, we did get the Duck Inn opened up, and we did start opening up the pool in the park with attendance. That's been a very good success. It's not going to be a money maker, but it will cover the expenses of the upkeep of the pool in the park. We've also opened up Dickman Hall Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on a limited basis. It has opened up. It has easily added to some revenue we'll make. It's also covering the expenses. We spent about $4,000 upgrading the plumbing system and things in there. And so far it's working actually better than I expected. Now, it will be closed next weekend, and I want to make sure I make that statement now, because we still have issues that we do not have enough employees. And this is something I knew when I had hired the bartender, that he would not be able to be here this next weekend. So next weekend, Dickman Hall will be closed. But it will be open tonight, in case anybody wants to catch up, and it'll be open the week after that. The rooms remodeling, we have gotten 5 more rooms finished finally this week. Some of the dressers are here, we're getting them all, we're getting them in about 5 every 2 weeks now. We will be working on getting basically 20 rooms to the point that we need them probably in the next 2 weeks. We've gotten the bedding that we want, now it's a matter of getting it in here, the skirting in here, the dressers in the rooms remodeled. The one thing we're having a problem getting in, the skirting and everything we finally agreed on, now is out of stock because nobody can get anything in. So it's sort of a weight gain there. But they will look good. We're trying to work on the window treatments now. We have somebody locally that's going to help us out there. Our front office management and our online system that we're working, our property management system, we've been going through training and installing the logistics of it. We will probably go online the week after July the 4th. We don't want to do it before July the 4th. And that'll give us online reservations with the motel, the RV park, and the campground. Our recreation department, Sherry's been doing a great job, in case anybody's seen all the activity that's been going on in the park. Last night we had a picnic night, or was it National Picnic Day?
International.
International, it's bigger than national. And we had probably 50, 60 people show up for hot dogs, and it was a good time. She has secured the donations for the fireworks, which will be on July the 3rd. So that is on and it's ready to go. She's done a lot. I think when we have an ice cream social coming up, watermelon,
Root beer float.
right, so root beer float day, things like that. They're just basically trying to get things for the members to do. Very, very happy the way that's going on, because it's been a minimal to the expense of the fort, and it's been a very good plus for the attitude arena. The pool, I'm not going to speak about that until we get to Las Morris. This in July, we have our Golf Now reservation system that will be installed in the middle of July. That will put our golf course online and advertised throughout the country. We've been working on the logistics of that, so that will also get us online. I have a town hall this next Thursday, in case anybody wants to meet. It's going to be in here, and ask questions for me. Just it's pretty much open conversation. The RV park, I am scheduling manager interviews this next week. Got about 5 applicants that will go over looking at what's there, what their vision is, what needs to be done, what they can achieve, and we'll try to hire an RV park manager sometime this summer. Did I miss anything? Okay. I think our revenue is actually where it needs to be by the time we get through this summer. We'll capitalize on everything in the fall, in the winter, in the spring. I think we will be ready to do that. I am not going to take on an additional lot of new things in the next 2 months, because I really feel like we have so much going on that we need to finish some of the things we started. It's just, we have a lot of things out there going on, and it's way too much to go here and there. We have to finalize a lot of things. My staff can't do a lot of special events in the middle of the summer, so we're going to try to get everything done. You know, we still have a lot of restrooms to fix from the freeze that we haven't really accomplished yet. The golf course restrooms need to be remodeled because of the damage done there. So we have enough to keep us busy for the rest of the summer. So that's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
The AC system, you might want to share the good news on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, our trial AC for the system over there, it looks like an octopus from Spider-Man. It's working. I mean, it's a system that works perfectly for these buildings. So that was one thing we wanted to try, and it's a minimal cost. It doesn't look that good, but we do know it now, it works, and now we'll work on the cosmetics.
All right, we'll move on to committee reports. First up, the airport.
Airport email, there are 3 guest pilots who landed at the Fort over the past month, all of which were member guests. We welcomed 1 new recreational member who will be parking his aircraft in the community hangar, and 1 new residential member who will be parking his aircraft in his personal hangar. On or about April 15th, the light at the main hangar was busted out. It needs to be replaced. This was reported to the general manager on April 15th, and a follow-up to that request was sent on June 1st. Replacement of the light would be appreciated. The airfield was mowed 3 times and was treated for mesquite and fire ants. Fort Clark Springs Airport Committee.
In regards to that, the light was replaced. There seems to be another issue other than visa light.
Okay.
So it's going to be an electrical issue.
Okay.
Whose expense will that be if there's an electrical issue?
That's Ford's.
Architectural? We got an email as well.
Oh, it's in my new. The pink highlight, okay, this one? Okay, this was from Phoebe Borderlawn. Can you send the IRC stuff? Just the highlighted pink, okay. ARC report. Has been steadily working on permits and violations. We have several new properties members and hope to continue to see more new people on the Fort. And that's what they submitted.
Okay, golf committee? No report, okay. Preservation? Yes, please, just so that everyone online can hear you as well. Thank you.
Our current project is the powder magazine. You might notice there's a cardboard cover over the door, which we're getting a new door. I have no idea what it's going to look like. I have told the gentleman to make it look old. And I stressed old. The building dates from 1854. It does not have to look modern. We've also done a bit of cleanup, exterior and interior on that building. I was somewhat upset to realize that someone in the past Christmas season has punched holes in 3 of the windows in order to string their Christmas tree lights and get power to them, because the power is on the inside of the building. So those windows will have to be replaced. I would hope people just have more courtesy or thought about what we've got here. Other than that, we won't be doing anything until this fall. We'll try and accumulate as much funds as we can so I can get to the hospital. I was told about 6 years ago, the current manager at that time had that building painted the same colors that it is now, which are incorrect. And when I pointed that out to him, he told me you can wait for 6 years and then you can do it. Well, I'm pretty sure 6 years have passed. Anyway, that gentleman is gone. And I am going to do the hospital this fall. Now, I don't know whether we can do all of it at once. It's going to be very expensive. That thing is set there for all these years, so it's going a little bit further downhill, but I'm going to do my damnedest to get it up. And that once that hospital is finished, or perhaps during the course of, depending on funding, I'm going to take the powder magazine, which I previously spoke about, and the windows on each side of that building I'm going to remove and replace with stone. That building was all stone when it was built, and it should be returned to that. I'm going to leave a window in the back there just to have some lighting, but the window in the back was the one that was seriously damaged. But anyway, get the hospital finished, I hope. And after that, Powder Magazine, and I'll tell you, this old boy's gonna mount the saddle and ride into the sunset. I've been working on this pretty much ever since I've been here. Been a labor of love. And I'm getting pretty close to getting finished. And by God, when I'm finished, I'm gonna sit back and relax and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil, I just want to say Preservation did a great job on Seminole.
Fantastic.
It is beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you. We have the recycling
Yes.
report, I believe, came in as well.
Recycling came in. It's in two parts. The first part says cardboard bales were picked up this week, should get some money in 2 months. We're sweating during our recycling work. We need to get weeds cut down and the gas cylinder refilled on the forklift. Significant progress has been made during this last month. No, this is,
This is something else.
yeah, that's something else.
That's Morris.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
the next one.
Okay, so that was it for
Okay,
recycling.
before we jump to that one, inside of the recycling facility, is that a volunteer effort for those? Was that an ask for help, or was that a plea?
It's already been done.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. And the gas cylinder, is that something that we help with, or is that?
No, that,
That's been done.
I used to go and take the cylinders down to,
It was
what used to be Woody's, and leave them there, he'd fill them up and then fill the floor.
Okay,
Phil took it to the valley last week.
okay,
Okay.
okay, good deal. Thank you.
Now, Las Modas
Yes,
Restoration Project.
yes.
Significant progress has been made during this last month. The Las Modas Springs historical marker has been placed in a prominent location at the approach to the pool. Some important structural repairs have been made along the north side of the pool, including filling the gaping hole that was created, such a risk of instability of the pool. The scope of this work is about $20,000, which is being paid for by money donations and volunteer labor. Tim Ward has done his heroic work, without which these critical repairs could not have been accomplished. The repair to the north side gutter drain pipe is ongoing, as Mr. Peterson can describe in detail. Chris Hale.
I saw this.
Yeah, Tim and Russell have been, and Philip have been doing the drain on the north side. Went to San Antonio yesterday and got another 12-inch drain pipe, so we're gonna completely replace the pipe that was there. Support it this time and make sure it's done correctly. It seems, we knew what was there. Now it's a matter of just basically trying to fix it so there is no water that escapes around it, and it all goes out the pipe like it's supposed to, rather than taking away the dirt that it has been doing. I guess the one thing about that that's not mentioned, Russell has redone the drain grates on the side. He's been working on those, and those are outstanding looking on that northwest side. So that part is pretty much just getting cleaned up now. So where we go from here, which corner is going to be the next one we do after this drain pipe, that's sort of a questionable area, because there are 3 areas that need to be addressed. And so, you know, it's up to what money we can find. But between Russell and Chris and Tim, a lot of work's been done on that pool lately, and it looks great. I mean, it's really coming along.
Again, the Ford is not paying a dime on any of this work.
We bought the drain yesterday,
Oh,
so.
which, whenever the Las Modas Restoration Project actually had several of their meetings, a lot of this work was classified by the engineering firm as maintenance work, not major repairs. So these are things that we should have been doing over years and years, but just the pool didn't get the maintenance it so deserved. So
This is probably 20 years worth of
maintenance.
neglect. Yeah.
So.
All right, the bylaws committee, I believe that they've had people out of town. I did speak with them last night. They are still working through some of those changes, and there's been some documents that we need to find for them, so we'll continue to work on that as we move forward. Community Council?
Sitting too long. Been doing too much yard work and lifting of things. All right, so we had our regular meeting last week. It's actually the last meeting now until September. So September 11th at 10 a.m. here in the boardroom will be our next meeting. We have a lot coming up. First, on July 2nd, we have Grease. That was the movie that the public voted on, and we're going to show it on the side of the Post Theater, so we can go ahead and just use the concession stand in the Post Theater, and we'll have working bathrooms there. We're planning on doing another movie Labor Day weekend. The location has not been decided yet. It may depend a lot on where bathrooms and things stand out at the amphitheater. And if they are in a working order, maybe we'll be able to move back out to the amphitheater. Let's see, Ghostly Tours. So Ghostly Tours is on the docket. October 29th and 30th are the dates we are looking at for that. We'll work with you all. Hopefully we can clear during our meeting today for Fort Clark Day stuff. Just use us some space for October 29th and 30th and go ahead and get that shored up. Let's see, Fort Clark Day. So Fort Clark Days is happening March 4th and 5th, 2022. We are well into our planning for Fort Clark Days already. We had a Fort Clark Days committee meeting this last Wednesday. Our next Fort Clark Days committee meeting will be in August. I believe it's August the 16th, 6 o'clock at the Adult Center. So we'll put out more information on that. We are trying to, well, number one, Fort Clark Days takes money because we bring in a lot of living historians. We did retain our funds from Fort Clark Days 2020 in anticipation of, number one, not knowing where things were going to happen or how things were going to play out financially with coronavirus. So we still have retained that money. We didn't turn it over, we didn't donate it to historical preservation, sorry. So we do have money that we're starting with, but our fundraising goal is still $15,000 to $20,000. And then hopefully historical preservation after Fort Clark Days will get additional money. So just in case anyone's not aware, when we do Fort Clark Days, we pay for the living historians or stipends for some of them, not everyone. We help cover some of their expenses as much as possible, provide lodging for them, and then anything that's left over at the end of Fort Clark Days, we will retain a little bit for the following Fort Clark Days as startup funds, and then the rest is given to historical preservation. So the money goes back, it all goes into supporting, promoting the history of Fort Clark, and then also with preservation of buildings. So if you all know anyone that might be interested in sponsoring Fort Clark Days, we're hoping to have our sponsorship letter approved today with some of the asks from the fort. So we can get those things out for anyone who might know some business owners. We had a community member ask about getting a list together of people who can do certain things in the area, plumbers, electricians, and all of that. There are a lot of asks, and we see it for anyone who's a member of Bracket Voice, people asking these questions. So our hope is to try and get something together and get it published. One of the things that we have to be careful about, because community council does not endorse the work of anyone nor promote the work of anyone or say, hey, these are good people. It's going to be upon the due diligence of the individuals hiring these folks to do work. So we're hoping to do that, and we've got to talk with Alan about a couple of bulletin boards around the fort that can also be used for that, for people who are not on social media. So centralized places for people who need these types of things. That's it.
I got some questions.
Yes.
First of all, how much do you have, currently do you have right now with Fort Clark Days in your fund?
In our Fort Clark Days account, I believe it's $7,200.
$7,200. Your goal is $15,000 to $20,000.
Additional.
Are you all actively seeking donations other than what we're talking about here, but from
No,
members?
No, because we are waiting for the sponsorship letter to be approved by the board.
Okay, very good.
All right, that's all I got. Thanks.
My father has a little black book that has every Tom, Dick, and Harry that we use for the house. So we have a nice little start for you.
Oh, for the people who can help with things?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Just let me know, we'll get together.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the old or unfinished business. The rules and regulations change. That also, that group has had some members out of town, and we've actually come across several things whenever you start digging through the rules and regulations that have kind of slowed us down. We want to get something in about the dogs and the other changes that were asked, but there's some hurdles that we have to work through. It was actually found last week that there was a board, there's a board resolution that actually turned the rules and regulations into a dedicatory instrument, which changes how we can change those rules. So we are digging into that entire situation and trying to unravel exactly when, how, and if that's actually possible, if that happens. So as we start to work through this, it's been very difficult to get done, but we are still working through that. So I don't think there's anything that we can do on those items at this point. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the board?
No.
In the membership?
I mean, is this bylaws committee going to be ongoing?
Yes, until the work is done and we can.
I don't think the work will ever be done.
Then yes, it will be an ongoing committee until we really have put ourselves in a situation where it's very difficult to change what we have. And that is the danger in changing these documents. And it doesn't seem as though there was a lot of coordination between the membership, the attorneys, and the board, and basically looking at the law. And we've really backed ourselves into a situation where it's going to be difficult to change this stuff. And it's going to take a lot of work because the main issue is that there was a change in 209 that basically says if your declaration is silent on the percentage of votes it takes to change documents, then it becomes 67% automatically. We're silent. So we become 67%. As most of you all know, we don't even get 67% of our votes back from lot-owning members. And it's not, the way that our document reads, it says of people who vote. State law says of lot owners. So it's not 67% of the people that vote, it's 67% of the people that own property. And we all know how Texas is about property rights. And that's where it ties to. So we've got a big issue that we have to unravel. And so I do ask for your patience. I know it sounds like you're hearing the same thing every time. You know, we're working on it. There's a lot of work to be done.
Well, I think it needs to be ongoing with the legislature like it is.
Absolutely.
It's going to change often.
Yeah, I think we should definitely consider there being a standing committee because like every 2 to 3 years you get a change and you know it starts over. So and that's where we got into an issue. There was a change in the law. We tried to adapt. I can't speak for how that change was made, but it backed us into a corner, and we're trying to find a way to work through that. So there's a couple avenues for us to get to, but none of them are going to be short. Any other questions or comments?
Can we drop these from old business now? I mean, we don't want to lose, just leave them hanging there, so.
Yeah, I want to keep them there, though, like, just to, like, you know, I mean,
Remind us.
to remind us, I mean,
Fall by the wayside.
yeah, we've got a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of work to do before we can even address these, and, yeah, I would hope to leave them there. If there's good reason to remove them, then let's discuss it, but, you know, and to keep it in front of everyone, I think that's probably the best thing for now, but we can always revisit that.
Oh.
Yes.
May we please have permission to double our 10 signs into 20 signs? We only have a few more days left in June.
I think that would be a operational issue, so if you can email Mr. Peterson, that would be, that's a day-to-day operational and kind of how we're going to work through that.
Okay.
You okay with it? To increase it to
Well,
20?
If you'd like to email him, he said that it was fine, but that way you have it in writing as well.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
All right, so we'll move to the new lease for the wastewater treatment area. We have an update there as well. So originally, if you were at the meeting, this lease was described to the board and to the membership as a lease to combine the original 40 acres and the additional 43.2 acres that were given to MUD for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant, which is a collaboration between the city of Brackettville, the Fort, and the municipal district. As we dug into that document and researched the documents that we have on file, that lease was actually signed in 2019 to combine those two pieces of property into one lease. The document that was brought before the board was a document to lease the irrigation system of the golf course to ensure the ability of MUD to release the effluent water. I have many thoughts about that, and I think people on the other directors have as well. And to be honest, we're not going to just come and sign the document until we've had time to review it, work with our attorneys, and get the things that we need in that document as well. There are certain things that we need to control and that we need to talk about and we need to have written in that document. If many of you were around during the road lease situation, and this is a very similar situation with MUD. So we'll continue to work on that. That's something that's slated for executive session, is to get our wants and needs, and then we'll go back to the attorney and continue to turn the contract with the municipal district and the city. So it could be something that works well for us, but we need to take our time to do that. So that's what another reason that this one's been sticking out there for a long time. We are working on it, but it does take time to get a contract like this that is ongoing for many, many years to come. We can't just sign that willy-nilly and move on. So, hope to have that back in front of y'all for the next, and hopefully we're voting on it by next meeting. Two-way radios, that was an item that was tabled, but I believe we now have the information. Or actually, let me step back 1 second. Do you have any questions on the municipal district lease for the irrigation system? Comments here? Okay.
Yeah, I got a quick one. Do we pay taxes on that property?
We do, which if there, I believe that there is a stipulation that once we were to lease the irrigation system to MUD, it would become a non-taxable entity.
Okay.
That property, in that system, that improvement.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons that takes the golf course into a different light, in the sense that lowers our property taxes, depending on where the expenses sit. You know, do those fall under MUD because of the system based on the actual what wastewater treatment plant? There's a whole lot to consider here that can move that $60,000 to $90,000 mark that you see every year as you know, the golf course operating at a deficit. That can change significantly.
Sure, I understand.
And so that's why this is really, really important and sets the stage for the Fort going forward, as far as, you know, really digging into these issues.
Thank you.
I'm actually really excited. So, should be good. All right, radios. The two-way radios. Do you want to run us through the, looks,
Well, the need for them is the fact we had no communications with our security department other than cell phones. Now, unfortunately, I was not given this until first thing this morning, so, yeah, I honestly think we need to look into it a little farther than what we have right now. It was too late to come in.
okay.
But the need is there for our security and our staff to have communication, especially now with everything that we're running into around the edges. It's just a matter of, I don't have enough history on this to be able to say this is what we need to do right now.
Can I make a suggestion that we know it's gonna fall within this price range? If we as a board can approve the amount and give Mr. Peterson the leeway to negotiate a little bit, that way, as soon as he gets something that falls within this range, he doesn't have to wait 30 days. We can go ahead and get this started.
And so this would directly connect the security to each other on the fort, but also runs through the county, if I understand correctly.
Yes, and when we have these radios, from what I understand, we can actually probably be in even Uvalde and receive calls. It does extend that far. And it's using repeaters that will be working with the county. And we evidently had repeaters up on the water tower at one time. They're still there, but they haven't been used in at least 3 or 4 years. So this is something that was on the fort. It was just never replaced.
And so in your experience, is this generally something that a property of this size would use to communicate?
Without a doubt, yeah. Little handheld units with our terrain. I mean, we're using them down at the pool just for very local stuff, but you have to have encoded so that nobody's listening to your conversations and everything else. So yeah, this is what you need.
Okay, and then does this open direct communication with the sheriff's department or with?
That's what I have to maintain. I understand, yes,
Okay.
but I need to make sure just exactly how that works.
Okay. So if we had a motion that, go.
My question right now is, there's just one estimate. Will there be a possibility, will there be 2 or 3 bids or check into other companies other than Netpro?
I can, but we're only using the county's repeater, so this is gonna be piggybacking on what they're already doing.
Piggybacking in the sense that Netpro has the monopoly on this?
Pretty much.
Do they have total control as to what we purchase and what we don't purchase? In this sense?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of using the county's repeater lowers the cost substantially what it would cost us to do it ourselves. I mean, we can do it ourselves.
Do you believe there would be a different opinion if it was checked on with someone else?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you were to check with another vendor,
A different
You think,
opinion of what the equipment's needed?
whether the equipment would work or not, I mean, or various opinions or options regarding,
Well, if you're gonna go with Motorola or anybody that works with Motorola, you're gonna be spending at least twice what this bid is. That's just from my background and what I've done before.
but we don't know, that's what you think.
No, I don't.
I would hope that we can investigate a little bit more before we just go with the first person that sends us an amount to pay. That's what I prefer.
How many units are we?
12.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of radios, 12 radios, up to a cost of $7,901, either through this company or a competitive system from another company.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone communicated at all with the ham radio club to see what they might be able to do? I don't know what the usage laws are either on their repeater, but I do know that Kinney County Police Sheriff's Department has used the ham radio club's repeater before when their stuff went down here. And we have a ham radio club here and some pretty technologically fancy people. I don't know how all that stuff coincides with use for the fort and all that, but they'll know laws, regs, and also even if they can even set up a repeater specifically for the fort.
My concern is, are they all here in the summer?
A lot of them are, yeah. The folks from the ham radio club, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question that I think that we can explore, and as far as this bid versus using a different bid, if we have to get our own repeater and we can do it cheaper then of course we'll do it. But if I don't believe that.
We approved a dollar
Approved a
amount,
dollar amount
and then
versus
For the product.
an actual product, and so if this works, or if this dollar amount works, or Motorola is cheaper, then obviously we would go with the Motorola. But this dollar amount, without the repeater, there's a whole separate piece of equipment that has to be purchased beyond this bid. So a full system could not be purchased at this dollar amount. So if this is the lowest, then that's fine, but if it's not, then it can't be done anyways, with this vote that was just taken. All right. So during the email votes, there was, or during the month, there was an email vote. There was an approved variance for offense, I believe. New business, action items, placing a stop sign on Fort Clark Road and Scales Road. You want to walk through this?
Yes, sir. Since I've been on the board, we've been getting numerous complaints regarding speeding on Fort Clark Road and Scales. And after some discussion and a little bit of research, this situation needs to be addressed. And the most reasonable remedy at this time is to possibly put extra stop signs on Fort Clark Road. Now, I've heard some of my neighbors and friends say, well, they're just going to run right through the stop signs anyway. Maybe. Hopefully the members will wise up. But if a sheriff deputy or a constable is nearby and witnesses a person speeding and running through a stop sign, those are 2 violations. And I know for a fact they're very expensive violations. Second, as a board, I feel that we need to be looking out for the membership. This is a reasonable remedy to hopefully control the speed a little bit on these 2 thoroughfares where there's a lot of speeding. One of the reports that came from security indicated two young men, who I happen to know, were caught drag racing on Scales Road last month. So, God forbid anyone, a child, adult, an elderly person, is coming out on a golf cart, on a bicycle, or going down just a regular stroll down the road, and these cars go out of control, it's going to be a big problem. We already had one accident about 1.5 years on Scales Road where a young man, he was still in high school, lost control of his Camaro, and he wrecked into the mesquite trees that were near the recycle center. I think most of you might remember that. Thank God he was not killed. My understanding, he was reaching speeds of 90 miles per hour as he lost control. That dip by Unit 3 where it turns into cement, that's where he lost control, from my understanding. Thus, again, I'm of the belief this is a reasonable remedy to hopefully control the speeding on Fort Clark Road and Scales, and the Sheriff's Department and the Constable at this time.